Bámidélé káàbọ̀ ṣé dáadáa lẹ dé ọmọ Oòduà ẹ káàbọ̀ ṣé dáadáa lẹ dé inside Oyotunji.
Ṣé àlàáfíà ni Adúpẹ́ àti ẹ káàbọ̀ to the 23rd edition of Inside Oyotunji. Lórúkọ mi Agbe Rohinjade, and we welcome you to this edition of North America's oldest African village. Inside we have plenty of stories, news, celebration, festivals, all in the celebration of our African culture the world over, even in some of your communities. This edition is packed full of the events and cultural happenings from the end of 2011 to Odun Oshun 2012, from Toronto, Canada to the tip of Key West. There is so much to share, and we are thankful that you will sit back and relax and truly be informed on the people, places, and events that give you your African worldview. Well, before we get rolling on the events of 2012, let's step back and take some looks at the exciting news of 2011. First up would be the appointments of 3 young Yoruba men to new chieftaincies, the office of the Alagba, the office of the Appointer, and also the Olotu priest. We'll tell you a little bit more about those responsibilities towards the end of the show. Babatunde Oyewole Akinshegun, the second son of Bale Oyewole, and Iyalode Akinshegun, has certainly hit the ground running as the next Alagba of Egbe Egungun in Oyotunji. And of course, it's been said that behind or alongside any great man is at least one very strong woman. It was a grand occasion as the traditional marriage of our Alagba Akinshegun and Iya Amina Omisore, a priestess of Obatala, celebrated the union of their clans at Penn Center on St. Helena's Island, here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. His Royal Majesty was, of course, in attendance. Let's take a look as the royal entourage enters in. Many of the elders of the Oyotunji family were guests and offered their advice to the happy couple.
So, love is a process.
Never go to sleep hungry.
Iyama Baje, or Shuntinibu, officiated the jumping of the broom.
And to honor our ancestors who passed long ago and who lived during these times when they couldn't come and celebrate their union, we're going to have the jumping of the broom. And you will jump this broom this way.
Annually, on the last weekend of October, the festival of Oya is celebrated. Just around the time of Halloween in America and Wedo here in the kingdom, we celebrate the goddess of change, transformation, and wind. As we join the festivities here, one of her eldest daughters, Iya Oyabi, she tells us the mainline message from this Orisha at this Odun. And she says, the ancestors aren't sometimey. Why are we?
All year, she's been cleaning up a lot of things. Thankfully, we're all still standing. We're all standing and able to sit, and she hasn't blown us away yet. So it must be something we're doing right, because she didn't do us in. So just be thankful, be grateful, and say, Adupe Iamioya. Adupe Iamioya. Adupe.
So I say that to all of you.
And those that are not here, I supplicate, make a phone call. We're in modern technology. There's emails, there's webinar, and all of that. Okay? But we have to wake up. Because there are many people out there in America that came here in the 70s to save their life, like myself. If it's in the heavens that we pray to Olorun, to Olodumare, to the gods of Africa, to refresh their memory. Because we all know that through the gods, that everything is possible. Question, do you know that there are people amongst us? We worship the same gods, we worship ancestors, and there are people amongst us that have issues. And I say issues, that you can have issues with your neighbor and not speak to your neighbor. What is that? Now that I have your attention, all of you people that have your ancestral shrines set up and you so-called worship them when you so-called feel like it, they're not sometime-ish with us. They're committed to helping us. So if they're committed to helping us, then what do we have to be? Committed to them. We have to make sure on a daily basis that they eat.
Early in 2012, with economic development, food security, and sustainability in mind, His Royal Majesty Enijoye Olaitan visited the Hilton Head Americulture Center on a fact-finding mission about aquaponics and seawater farming.
But there's going to be a world seafood shortage within about 10 to 15 years.
Chief Olaitan has been the village liaison with the Sheldon Township Leadership Project that is working to establish and operate a similar facility at the Whale Branch Middle School. What a wonderful and intriguing way for our students to make the connection between earth science and survival.
We feel like we were going to play an important role because we're going to show people how to produce seafood by farming. And we're also going to add to wild fish populations to help keep them at healthy levels. We import 85% of our fish now, our seafood, 85%. The ocean fish supply will collapse by 2048. And we're going to add 3 billion more people by 2050 in countries that consume a lot of fish. So it's going to put even more pressure on wild fish populations. There are companies trying to look now at trying to reproduce bluefin tuna because they think the last one will be caught in less than 10 years.
As 2011 drew to a close, His Royal Majesty Alba Adefumi II traveled north of the border and was the honored guest of many cultural winter solstice and Kwanzaa celebrations on Canadian soil. Although it was a snow-covered night, 3 feet of it, in fact, on the outside, in the Accents bookstore, where His Royal Majesty was the honored guest, cultural activists listened attentively as His Royal Majesty and Amubaka Mfana of the Afro-Cuban tribe brought truth and revelation to those that braved the weather.
It wasn't until about 1945 that the first Cubano Babalawos came to this side, to the United States. Prior to the revolution, and then of course it exacerbated after the revolution in 1959. And so right alongside of the civil rights was this African culture taking off as a movement, just the same way, but it worked underground.
Also on hand to pour the libation and call forth the ancestors was Prince Bamidele of Ondo State, currently residing in King City, just outside of Toronto. Prince Bamidele is the founder of the Yoruba House Project in King City, a cultural center for the preservation of Yoruba heritage.
Abubakar. He's the one that started up this place where he's selling these books, bringing knowledge to the people.
ayé ò ní dàrú o, ọ̀nà ọ̀dẹ̀ ní bàjẹ́, a máa rí ṣe báyìí, a máa rí gbà, a máa rí ná. Torí lọ́jọ́ kìíní lọ́hùn, wọ́n ní èrè báyìí òun là ń jorí eku, èhèrè òun là ń jorí ẹja, àtòkùn àtọ̀sà lágbórí irin lákì ń kéré nífẹ̀ẹ́ òde ayé, àkì ń gbádùdù tí irin àkì ń ṣe ìkẹ̀tẹ̀tẹ̀ fún ọ̀já kìí tọ́jà àgbàlẹ̀, èlúkélú kìí tọ́ ni, òkun kìí tókun Yèmídèrègbé lórúkọ tá à ń polókun, Ọ̀rúnmìlà ní káwọn onírò, Ọ̀rúnmìlà ní káwọn wọ́n ní bọ̀rọ̀gbọ́rọ̀ báyìí lọ́wọ́ yọjọ́ rí.
In Barrie, Ontario, on the night of Ujima, Efunlade Oyewole asked the simple question, has anyone here heard of the African village in North America?
Who all know that there's an African village in North America? Raise your hand. Oh yeah, you know now? Well, who knew before tonight? Okay, a few people. Well, these are things we have to know that, we have to know that we have an African village where we have kings, queens, chiefs, teachers, farmers, drummers. Like you can play drums all night. These things are what we have to start looking forward to in all of our communities. It's very easy. You just buy some land, cut it off, and do what you want to do. Especially farming. It's very important. We have to teach our own children about our history.
The thing I don't know is where it is.
Yeah, well, these days, all you gotta do is Google whatever you want to do. And it's go to Google African village or king in the village or anything.
Even in one of the toughest, roughest hoods of Toronto, known as the Jane and Finch neighborhood, the culture is alive and well, celebrating Kwanzaa on the night of Ujama, with drums, prayers, and the jam sessions our people are known for. In case you didn't know, the art of rebuilding community is in a groundswell toward the Cultural Revolution, and at the base of any movement, the progress or impact of a movement depends largely on building, securing, and maintaining strong relationships. The diversity of cultural activists that now reside in Canada is on the move and are forming some dynamic collaborations with the Kingdom of Oyotunji. Recently, some of our Canadian comrades made the pilgrimage to Oyotunji, taking notes on all things relative to village life and the good health of a spiritual, cultural, intentional community. The annual Odun or Lokun is celebrated as the sun moves into the astrological sign of Pisces towards the end of February. This annual festival provides the opportunity to all Omo Oduduwa, children of the great progenitor of African culture, to reconnect to the source. The deep spiritual mysticism at the basis of the African priesthood brings us out of the harsh lessons of winter and the season of Babaluaye. With the cleaning of grains for good health and sustenance, along comes the rebirth of spring. As we move into 2012, the festival and events that are bringing together a true rainbow tribe of nationalities, you will see some of the many strands now weaving a web of connection, collaboration, and partnerships. Those of us old enough to recognize the power of the people is rebirthing itself toward more sustainable life choices. There's so much more that you just don't want to miss. We'll be right back after the drum beats of our sponsors.
Alafia, greetings. I'm Oyotunji. Sharamila Loke, and I am the founder and owner of Omo Duduwa Radio. Omo Duduwa Radio seeks to bring cultural programming on the airways, online, around the world, with our weekly shows that we have, including Ifa Code of Conduct, Engage the Spirit, and Omo Duduwa Radio. OO Radio has been on the air for 2 years now. We are seeking for our listeners to support us in continuing our endeavors and helping us to raise $2,000 so that we can get a new and interactive website. By donating to Omo Duduwa Radio, you are going to help us grow and get more visibility around the world. I would like to thank Inside Oyotunji, and we thank them for their support and their love and their dedication to OO Radio.
As sure as President's Day is celebrated every February in America, the annual celebration of the life and legacy of the father of the cultural restoration movement, the founder of North America's oldest authentic African village, the creator of the daishiki, and godfather through thousands, is remembered on February 11th, the day the first traditional king of Oyotunji went through the roof. There were many tributes and testimonies throughout the weekend of the life-changing impact that one man with an enormous vision made on the forward progression of Africans in America. And the question is definite food for thought. Are you making a living or a life?
The Abba gave up a lot to do this. And the Abba did not make himself king. The Abba did not make himself king. The people proclaimed him king, and then the Abba was coronated king. So the Abba was king by divine right. Look at us wearing these fabulous clothes, carrying on our customs and traditions, having a school for our own people, having a burial ground for our own people, having a place where we can marry our people, where our people can congregate and carry on their customs and traditions, all due to Abba Funtala. What a man does for himself alone dies with him. What a man does for his nation and the people remains and is immortal. And truly the Abba is immortalized. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we live. We make a living by what we get. However we make our money, just pay the bill. So are we making a living or are we making a life? We want to make a life. The Abba showed us how. There are people here today taking pictures of us. That we've been all around the world. People have come from all around the world to honor what Abba Osajaman Adefumi I started some years ago. It was a marvelous idea then, and it still is.
As the weekend of festivities concluded on Sunday, His Royal Majesty reminded those in attendance that any people that have forgotten their history are doomed to repeat it. On the road again, this time His Royal Majesty was hosted by our Why Hunger Learning Project partners, D-Town Farms of Detroit and the Black Oaks Center for Sustainable Living in Pembroke, Illinois. For a little background on how our collaborations and many of the collaborations around the country might work, we have the project director from Why Hunger in New York, Lori Clevenger.
So we work a lot with communities to leverage their power, the assets that are in their community. And I just also want to say, when I say we work with, we really just provide support in whatever capacity that we can, because a lot of the communities like Oyotunji, like the Detroit Black Community Food Security Network, like the Black Oaks Center, they're already doing this work and doing phenomenal work with very, 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 very few financial resources.
You may recall a few years back, His Royal Majesty and the entourage were in Detroit to attend the U.S. Forum on Social Reform. We stopped at what is now called the flagship of food security in the Motor City, D-Town Farms. In just 3 short years, they have increased their efforts tenfold. As we watch and listen, please remain mindful of the fact that these black folks started with no money and a ton of determination. Still wondering who the people are and where do the workers come from? Baba Comenza tells us that colleges and universities are now connected to the Rolling Thunder greenhouse technology that supports the collaboration.
Since the weather has turned on us, the weeds are coming up. So we have some spring break college students. We have Hope College coming. We have U of M coming in the next 2 weeks. So we'll have them in here weeding the weeds out of here, you know. And we'll be planting here. This whole hoop house is going to be devoted to salad greens.
The Earthworks part of this extraordinary collaboration teaches people in the community to start and build their own agricultural businesses.
Daryl Howard is an EAST graduate. EAST stands for Earthworks Agriculture Training, and he went through that program, graduated, and did an internship in incubating a business here at Earthworks for vermicomposting.
I just got some compost here that I sifted out earlier this morning, and this is be a high quality soil that will be for sowing seeds and transplants. Yes, and I'll be selling this, and in fact I have a customer now waiting for this, so I'll be getting a little bit like once a day, every day, like maybe 3 or 4 pounds a day, and after maybe about a month, I'll have like a 50-pound bag or so, you know.
Willie Spivey tells us we're never too old to begin and to thrive.
I'm blessed that the D-Town Farm is allowing me to grow some transplants for them. And right now I'm here as an independent, and they're supporting me on developing any and everywhere that I want a plant to be. Right with the seeds, truthfully. And it's something, I've been involved with this agriculture for 2 years, and at 57 it's been one of the best things in my life. And what happened is D-Town brought me these seeds, and it started with something as very, very small as this right here, okay? Those seeds right there, okay?
Did you know that there are Good Samaritan laws on the books in some states that allow us to rescue the tens of thousands of pounds of food that fills dumpsters in every city in America every year? Well, listen and learn, as Hope has a name. The Forgotten Harvest is a food security company whose mission it is to relieve the Detroit metropolitan community of hunger, rescuing surplus, prepared, and perishable food, and donating it to emergency food providers. 45 million pounds of food, 32 refrigerated trucks, and millions of dollars in grants and donations. Again, Black folk with self-determination.
Okay, we're at Forgotten Harvest, and what Forgotten Harvest does is they supplies all of the major food banks in this in the southeast Michigan area. What they do is they receive their produce from grocery stores and food processors, distributors.
We're taking it out, we're scooping it into bowls and putting a label on it of what it is and everything, and sending it out to the pantries. We have 2 docks. And we have a staging area for the drivers that are getting ready to go out, and you know they put their product back here and then load it right onto their trucks. Our receiver is back here, and right now we have 32 refrigerated trucks. We own all of them. They've all been donated. And they're always asking what they can do to help us. We've built great partnerships. So they're asking what they can do. And because, you know, every day they have to make them fresh, so they donate them to us. And, you know, we get them like in thousands of pounds a day.
So is it safe to say if you wasn't here, all of this would end up in the landfill?
Yes, that's very safe to say. When we started out, we were only rescuing 1,000 pounds a week in a van. And we've come from there to over 45 million pounds in 32 trucks. So yes, all of this would end up in the landfill. Because when we started this, they said it's going to be a hard thing to do. How can you keep perishable food and turn it on a day-to-day basis? But as you see, we've been able to do it. And if you don't have partners to help you, there's no way you can do it. So, and like I said, partnerships are just important to have and important to keep going.
Given the connections and collaborations between Oyotunji and Growing Power of Milwaukee, this segment would far from be complete without a stop at the Chicago division of Growing Power under the leadership of Erica Allen, daughter of Will Allen, the CEO of Growing Power and the father of the Good Food Revolution. Here, His Majesty is given a tour by one of the Growing Power students.
Alright, so I'm Erica Hoagland. I give the tours here at Iron Street Farm, which is Growing Power's headquarters in Chicago. So it's a 7-acre farm located in Bridgeport, and we're working on about 3 of those acres now. So behind us are the aquaponic systems. So these are systems where you're growing fish and plants symbiotically in relationships that benefit both the fish and the plants. So over here we got our mushroom chandeliers. You came on a great day too. We've got some beautiful ones. Let's see, right here, and then we've got some up here as well. Right here.
What variety is this?
It's oyster pohu. Okay. And then we're also growing gray dove, which is more of a gray top.
Do you have any golden?
No.
No golden.
So we started out with a youth corps of 40 youth from Wentworth Gardens, which is a housing development down 35th. And they were the first group of people to work on this space. So they were here a year and a half ago, in July and August and September, pulling up the weeds that were as tall as me, sweeping up the broken glass, moving the abandoned tires and all that, initial work. And meanwhile, Growing Power is saying we're building a farm out of this space, and what they're seeing is, the broken glass and saying how is this going to be a farm. So the mural was our way of getting the youth corps to think creatively around food and the plants that their vegetables are grown on, where their food is coming from, and just to start to visualize what the space can look like.
The Odun Egbe Egungun opened this past Memorial Day weekend with colorful pageantry of ancestral masquerade parades and a very special guest. We were blessed to have Prince Bamidele of the Yoruba House in King City, Ontario, Canada. His presentation of Aye Loja was a welcome addition to the festival. Let's take a look.
We celebrate the ancestors of our home. Awa oshoro ile wa o. Awa oshoro ile wa oro ile wa. Awa oshoro ile wa o. Awa oshoro ile wa o.
Ti ṣe sílẹ̀ ń bí ọba wa tó wàjà ọba dé fún mi àwọn gbogbo àgbààgbà wa àwọn bàbá àjàmú àwọn bàbá wa tán ti tẹlẹ̀ ìdó gbogbo ohun tí wọ́n ṣe ń bí kò ní bàjẹ́ o lágbára
The Assembly movement formed at the beginning of this year as a continuation of the cultural restoration movement. This past June 29th through July 1st, YAM, as it's known, hosted the inaugural Pan-African Grassroots Assembly. This gathering of traditional African priests, freedom fighters, sacred community activists, was indeed a full buffet of think tanks, roundtable discussions, culture, and capacity building.
So is this not the central, the African central of North America that is comparable to any Greek town, any Chinatown, any Jew town, any German town? Is it not?
What Oyotunji allow us is a microcosmic place to figure out how to architect a community, the prototype of what an African community in America should look like.
It says, I am compelled by a spiritual force that I cannot resist. That's your ancestors. That's the deities of our indigenous homeland. I swear to do everything in my power and to use every means conceivable for the welfare of my people and the preservation of the customs and traditions of our ancestors. So let it be, all ye gods of Africa.
When you go into the Indian shop, you don't see one, you see
The whole family.
So that's what we need.
First of all, let me say that we have, as Yoruba, and as well as other African traditional religions, very efficient spiritual technology.
The reality, what we call reality today, is a creation of a propaganda machine. Everything that we call in reality today that we are contending with, it's a product of a 24/7 propaganda machine.
Y'all may not believe this. No, you will. I stand outside my school in the morning as parents are driving up to drop their kids off. And this is what I hear. This is what I hear coming out of cars as they drive up to the school. And the door opens and all these little kids step out.
A woman lies our computer, defines our computer. It knows the destiny, the beginning and end of all things.
Just the idea of the life cycle, this the perpetual nature of composting. When I see the Opani Fa, that's what I think about. I think about that perpetual cycle.
We have to go to our elders to figure out a way to have our kids prepare for the future and at the same time preserve our culture.
You call one head and 200 and say, that speaks a lot to your attitude. If you come out and support a cause, there's no way in this world you will do something and nobody will support you.
Money, property, and prestige. We take advantage of the next person or the boss to get up.
Well, we pay a third of a cent per gallon in America, and Haiti they pay 25 cents a gallon. So just because you're poor doesn't mean you get a better deal. It's all supply and demand.
So we opened up the marketplace for this great event. We knew that just getting the word out about our temple, the things that we're doing in Atlanta, and also supporting KBSC and the village because this is a part of our lineage. So we have our Oshun t-shirts, we have our Arisha Our Way books that we published.
You got to nurture that. When your kids come to you with these weird ideals, you don't sit there and say, child, you crazy. You got to nurture that. You got to nurture it.
But it's not over. It's never over. But the energy of this particular weekend isn't over. So we implore people to become present and reflect. We can reflect with our spirit.
For more highlights and information on how you can have an assembly DVD to share with your community, log on to the website at oyotunji.org. As we come to the close of the 23rd edition of Inside Oyotunji, we invite each of you to make and keep the connection, to North America's oldest authentic African village through our website at oyotunji.org. As the Odun Obatala approaches at the end of August, and you consider making the pilgrimage then or when the temps are slightly cooler in October to the King's Day Festival. Till next time, Moni Agbe Rohingya Day. And remember, culture is connection and the chief magistrate of one's destiny.
Oyotunji káàbọ̀ ṣe dáadáa lẹ dé inside Oyotunji ẹ káàbọ̀ ṣe dáadáa lẹ dé ṣe dáadáa lẹ dé o ṣe dáadáa lẹ dé.